Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here with our friend, Attorney General Martha Coakley, and we had a scheduled meeting today to talk about a number of things concerning New Bedford, including the Attorney General's receivership program, which she's been down here for in the past. It's a great program that has enabled New Bedford and other communities to restore houses and restore neighborhoods that have fallen into disrepair. We also talked about a couple of other matters, including protection of elders and ways in which the Attorney General's office might participate in that down here. I'd be happy to talk about that as well. And we also talked a little bit about business development here, especially with a view toward the potential for offshore wind development. And but we're here to make ourselves available to talk about what is, in our view, very big and very happy news for the city of New Bedford, and that is the public announcement by the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Justice of the EPA's settlement with AVX Corporation concerning the cleanup of New Bedford Harbor. We have, I think you have some of the details about the settlement, but in general, the settlement would provide for the payment by AVX of $366 million in cash to the EPA to finance the cleanup of New Bedford Harbor. Why is this significant? It is significant for this fundamental reason. At current funding levels, it would take approximately 40 or more years to clean up New Bedford's harbor. New Bedford Harbor was the nation's first Marine Superfund site, and the federal government has been cleaning it up in fits and starts for nearly 30 years at this point. This settlement today will enable, according to the EPA, will enable the EPA to clean the harbor in 5 to 7 years, which represents an enormous acceleration of the process. And so, whereas many of us thought that we would never see a clean harbor here in New Bedford in our lifetimes, there is a very, very bright light at the end of a short tunnel now. And this is great news, and I really want to commend both the Environmental Protection Agency as well as the Department of Justice for their work on the lawsuit, as well as the Attorney General's office under Attorney General Coakley's leadership in playing a very big role in pushing this matter along. This is a very, very big deal for New Bedford when we get an infusion into a resource here of almost or over $1/3 of $1 billion. So this is a happy day for us, and I look forward to the day when I can jump in the Acushnet River as people have not been able to do in decades, and that time will come soon. And Madam Attorney General, just pleased that you're here today to talk about it, and I really appreciate all the work that your office has done under your leadership, and this is a cause for celebration here in New Bedford.
It is indeed, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. We had planned to, as we've partnered on so many issues, talk about abandoned housing initiatives, and also announce that we are adding a second loan modification specialist to our office in New Bedford. Under the settlement, the National Mortgage Settlement, we have individuals who will work file by file, family by family, to make sure that we stop unnecessary foreclosures. We talked about, as the mayor mentioned, so many great things that are happening in New Bedford, and the news today is particularly happy because this kind of cleanup that should have taken 40 years, in fact, will be as a result of today's settlement with the federal agencies and the Department of Environmental Protection and our office, will mean that cleanup will start much sooner and will be done, we hope, within 5 years, 7, which means that the mayor can move forward as New Bedford can move forward with better recreational facilities, expanded fishing opportunities, making sure that this beautiful harbor is used to its full advantage. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal for New Bedford. It's a big deal for Massachusetts. At a time when we are slowly coming out of an economic downturn, this gives huge opportunity to the city of New Bedford to take advantage of this. So I'm glad that we're able to do this today. It's incredibly important that we do it. And I think that as we have worked on many of these, what I call recycling projects, whether it's brownfields, or turning around abandoned properties, nothing could be more important to the future of New Bedford than making sure that the water is clean and that you'll be able to see the kind of turnaround, I hope, that we've seen in Boston. We know that not too long ago, Boston had a pretty dirty harbor, but because of this kind of cleanup, we have innovation district, we have building on the waterfront, we have sailboats, we have commerce, we have the kinds of things that come when you're able to clean up the water. Those kinds of things can come to New Bedford also. And because it has such a proud history, it is so unique in the history of Massachusetts, indeed in the country, and I know that everybody who lives here is very proud of that. I think today's announcement means that the future will be equally bright for New Bedford. So I look forward to working with the mayor and everybody here in that kind of economic development, the kinds of things that should happen to make New Bedford the kind of city that has potential for. And I'm delighted we could be here today to do this, John.
Thanks a lot. So we're prepared to take any questions that any of you might have. Natalie?
Well, obviously, there are local environmental groups who are concerned that the provisions of the settlement are doing the cleanup in a way that is long-term, maybe not the safest way. I was wondering if you all have thoughts on the CAD cell technology and those concerns that this is a short-term fix.
Right, I can answer that. So let me say this about CAD cells. So the settlement today, as I understand it, does not change the record of decision concerning the types of disposal approaches that were already built into the record of decision. And those approaches include CAD cells as well as confined disposal facilities along our harbor. And you know, I think we all agree that not all CAD cells are the same. The Bedford Harbor already has CAD cells in it. There was a CAD cell to be built as part of the South Terminal project that will contain low levels of PCBs. The point here is only that because CAD cells aren't all the same, we have to be mindful and watchful of what goes into those CAD cells. But that's frankly a discussion that will have to take place over the course of the cleanup, and there will be public. I'm sure EPA will have public hearings to inform the public about its approach, and the public have an opportunity to weigh in. The reality today is that this is great news. $366 million being spent here in New Bedford to clean up our harbor is unequivocally good news. And as the Attorney General noted, New Bedford's strength, apart from its citizens themselves, is its harbor. This, as I've said a number of points since becoming mayor, is that our harbor is our economic advantage, and it can be many things. It will continue to be the preeminent fishing port in the United States. We'll continue to expand our cargo activity. We hope that it will be a center for offshore wind assembly, but we also want to make sure that our people have access to the water, and that means fishing and swimming and other recreational boating, all those things. And this settlement brings that day closer when we can realize the full benefits of this great asset that we have right in front of us.
And if I can just
Sure.
add something to that. You know, we've been dealing with these PCBs, the polychlorinated biphenyls, for a long time. One of the things about them as contaminants, and it is the predecessor corporation that was using the harbor to dump these, given their manufacturing facilities, what they made, use this as a result, a byproduct of it. They stick around and they stick. And so the cleanup of them is different. And it is complicated, but I know that from the work that the Department of Environmental Protection has done, what our office has done, as well as what the EPA is concerned about, that process in ensuring for people in New Bedford that it's done not just quickly but well and safely is and will be vetted going forward. It's important that we move on it, however, and that the technology now to be able to deal with this, and surely should be questioned and be vetted. But I know that our office and the Department of Environmental Protection and the EPA are not going to move forward on something that won't guarantee a quick but also effective and safe cleanup of the New Bedford Harbor.
So if I can just, so in terms of if you all have concerns, it's something that you're looking at, or it's something that you're not concerned about?
I think we're aware of the issue, and I think that the agencies involved are aware of the issue, as we always are with a contaminant like this that we've had around for a long time. It's not the first time, however, that these agencies have dealt with PCBs, and it hopefully will not, it hopefully is going to be one of the last because we don't use it anymore. But the ability of the agency with technology to do this in a safe and effective way is obviously something we have to vet and we'll be looking at. As the mayor said, there'll be public hearings, there'll be plenty of time for input, but we need to move forward on cleaning this up. And the funds, not taxpayer dollars, but the funds from this corporation that will be used to clean it up with the oversight of EPA is a total win-win for New Bedford.
Will the sped up cleanup, will it inhibit any commercial industry in the harbor?
Well, I think not any more than what's already taking place. I mean, this will be really a hastening of the activity that's already been underway for many years now. So, if anything, it'll draw closer the day in which we're able to do more development, especially on the northern part of our harbor. You know, starting from the Cogswell Street and moving northward. So, this is actually, this settlement is actually very good for business.
Do you have an idea when they will start dredging?
Well, the settlement is subject to court approval. So the event today technically marks the filing of the proposed settlement in federal court in Boston. The assigned judge will review the agreement and determine whether it's in keeping with the original decision and otherwise appropriate. Then the judge, and once the judge signs off on it, EPA will proceed according to its internal procedures to undertake the cleanup.
So do you know how long it'll take for approval?
That's up to the judge. So no, I wouldn't.
We would
I
hope
wouldn't venture
within the
to.
next month or so.
Yeah,
It'll be
these things
presented
should-
to the court, and we anticipate it be in the next month or so, and hopefully they can start moving thereafter. So
Right.
this is the whole idea, to speed this up instead of spreading it out over the next 40 years. Get this done, start moving on it. I know EPA wants to do it, DEP wants to do it. I know the mayor wants to do it, so we're going to move forward and make sure that we start and get this done as soon as possible.
Yep. Great. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. That was great.
Happy birthday, dear Corinne. Happy birthday to you.
Your choice to recycle can affect more people than you think. Call Marissa at 508-979-1493 to request your free recycling bins. This message was brought to you by the City of New Bedford and UMass Dartmouth Charlton School of Business.
I got no pulse, we're losing him.
Charging. He's in VFib.
Shock him.
Drives it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear.
You're just buzzed.
Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right, this isn't happening. He'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really?
No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
VFib.
Shock him.